In this video, I'm going to share with you what opiate addiction feels like and where it takes you to. First of all, if you'd like to help the channel move on to the next stage, if you've been helped by any of my videos or this channel in any way, please donate the price of a coffee in the link below in the description, the Ko-fi link. It'd be greatly appreciated. And for those of you who've donated already, thank you so much. I'm going to share with you in this video my experiences of opiate addiction. I'm going to attempt to explain how quickly it grips you and what it feels like and why we go there, first of all. For me, it didn't happen until my 40s. I've been addicted to, if you look back on the channel at some of my experiences, they're all documented on this channel. But in the early days, sort of my 20s, alcohol was always an issue for me. I guess I've always been alcoholic or drunk alcoholically. And there have been times during my career when I've been addicted to drugs like amphetamine sulfate and cocaine, that type of things, even flirting with ecstasy and a few other things, and certainly weed, cannabis. They all played a part along the way. And to a certain extent, I became addicted to them because from a very early age, I wanted to change the way I felt. You know, I always had this feeling of restlessness and want inside of me. I was never truly happy. I always wanted more. I always felt uncomfortable and lonely. I never felt accepted by other people. And I wanted all these things badly. I wanted to be accepted. I wanted to fit in. I didn't want to feel lonely. I wanted to escape from my reality, if you liked. So I used a lot of these substances along the way to change my reality, change the way I felt, and become accepted by other people and help me to fit in with, you know, and seek their approval, if you like. And they worked, you know. And they went on for a very long time, but none of them accepting alcohol, which is another issue, none of them gripped me like opiates did. And they never affected me. And the point I want to make from this video as well along the way is opiate addiction of any type, you know, and I'll tell you where mine led to in a minute. But opiate addiction can affect anybody. I mean, I considered myself sort of, I suppose, a white-collar worker. I had massive ego and I ran a very large business. I had everything in my life, all the material things anyone could want. So I still was empty inside though, still so unhappy inside, which I couldn't explain. I felt angry that I had so much want still inside of me and this hole in my soul, if you like. And, you know, as a sort of a white collar person, opiate addiction or heroin addiction or any of this thing, you know, I sort of looked down on that as, you know, I saw alcohol as being okay and all these other drugs, coke and all that sort of thing, they were all okay. But opiate addiction was somewhere I'd never been to. It was the sort of lowest of the low. It never even entered my mind. And then in my 40s, I went to the doctors with a bad back. Early 40s this was. And I had genuinely hurt my back lifting. And he prescribed me codeine, neat codeine basically, 30 milligram tablets of codeine. And that moment onwards, my life changed, not in a good way, because I took these codeine tablets as prescribed to start with. And I'll tell you how it felt. And those of you who've been addicted to opiates or have been caught up in opiates will know exactly what I mean by this. When I took these things, even because I hadn't taken opiates, I think I'd had anesthesia in the past and painkillers in the past, but it had never sort of crossed my mind. But these were strong codeine tablets. And I took them for the first time and my whole world changed. Even at that low dose, it felt like I was in a warm hug, a warm embrace, wrapped in cotton wool, all of my worries, my fears, the shit that was going on in my life, it just melted away in a warm, fuzzy embrace. And that's a massive dopamine release in the head that's causing that, particularly if you've not taken opiates before. That is a very seductive experience that you want to repeat extremely quickly. And the issues around opiate addiction mean that it's a bit like when you first take crack or cocaine or any of those things for the first time. You'll never repeat that first feeling. You'll attempt to repeat that first feeling over and over again until your tolerance and your dependence increases and increases, and the negative consequences surrounding that increase. And that's what addiction is, that hamster wheel of, dependence and negative consequences, cravings, dependence, negative consequences, obsession. It just overtakes you. So from that moment on, that became part of my everyday existence, my life. But I found like taking that prescribed dose wasn't enough to give me that first feeling that I had, that wonderful cotton wool feeling. So I increased it. I took an extra tablet. And so it went on. And obviously using up the tablets quicker than I needed to, quicker than the prescription allowed, as my tolerance built up. So then there's that panic sets in, because it only takes around about 12 to 14 days of taking pills like that, codeine, opiate pills, whatever they are, for you to become, for you to experience withdrawal if you're not taking them, if you like. And if you've never experienced opiate withdrawal, there's a lot of videos on this channel, and please subscribe, like and share the videos. But there's a lot of opiate withdrawal videos on how to get through it and prepare for it. But nothing can prepare you for that first time that you start feeling those withdrawal symptoms. It's first of all, this horrible panic and anxiety overtakes you because you haven't got any pills. So I, immediately make an appointment at the doctor's. And from that moment on, start lying to the doctor, saying that the pills that and she was this is the 90s, so in those days, there wasn't the issues around overprescribing opiates, and I was she knew me as a regular businessman in the community, if you like, respectable. So she, God bless her, she believed what I was telling her, but I lied to her straight away. I said, these aren't helping me at all, these codeine tablets that you prescribed me. Is there anything that you can give me that's a bit stronger, because I'm in extreme pain here, I can't do my job, and the lies continued. So after, there was a couple of times when she prescribed like 30 milligram codeine again, but told me to double the dose, if you like. And I kept going back to the doctors because it was getting worse and worse and worse. And in the end, she prescribed me morphine sulfate tablets. And that's when things really started to escalate, because, I went on to a level of morphine sulfate that was the strongest. I forget exactly what the dose was now, but it was the strongest you can, and I was phoning up and making all sorts of, over the phone, asking for repeat prescriptions because we were going on holiday, and using every excuse in the book, for these to prescribe more, until she got wise to it and called me in, of course, and said, look, you've obviously got issues. I was never been so embarrassed in all my life, because she used to come into my business as a customer, and she knew what the deal was. So it was from that moment on, she said, she would only prescribe at the normal rate, so it wasn't enough. And that panic and withdrawal set in. So I began to, the worst time of my life, really, I suppose. And it went on for 12 to 15 years, this. But I went on my own hunt, if you like. I discovered, first of all, this is going to sound weird, but Nurofen Plus, which is a tablet you get in England, you You can buy them over the counter in a pharmacy. It was 12.8 milligrams of codeine and 200 milligrams of ibuprofen, Advil, or I don't know what it's called in America, but ibuprofen was an ingredient in them. So I found that if I bought a pack of 32 of these, because they came in packs of 32, if I took enough of them, it would, in between the morphine, it would stave off the withdrawals for a bit longer. And that escalated and escalated. Eventually, the doctor took me off the morphine. She refused to prescribe anymore. And that's another story in itself. But to cut a long story short, I was now totally reliant on the Nurofen Plus. And my tolerance had reached a level that was, it would have killed someone taking that amount of tablets, in one day. Because it went up to like between 40 and 55 tablets a day, almost 2 packs of these things a day, just to stave off withdrawal. This is where it had taken me to. This is over a period of time. It wasn't just straight off. It was like building up and building up and building up. It's a bit like alcohol, if someone drank a bottle of vodka, it'd probably knock them out and stop them breathing, if they weren't used to it. When I was in my alcoholism, I could drink a bottle of vodka and it would just keep me at a level. And it was the same with these pills, just to keep me at a level. I wasn't even getting that warm, fuzzy glow anymore. I got it for a tiny amount of time. So I was going out, and pharmacies were only allowed, they had to ask you and warn you of addiction after 3 days on these tablets. And they got wise to me, and pharmacies started to refuse me. And also, these were £7 in English money, and this is going in the early 2000s. A packet, and it was nearly £14 a day just on these bloody stupid tablets, because I hadn't gone on to the illegal buying of drugs yet. This was because in my mind, this is what an addict's mind works like. I was still respectable. I was still buying this stuff from it's just ordinary medicine, if you like. This is what my mind was trying to. This is the insanity of addiction. So as I was banned from the pharmacies, I had to drive further and further to different pharmacies. I had about 10 different pharmacies I used to visit on rotation and hope that the same people weren't serving behind the counter. And that's how my day used to begin before I started work proper, because I had to get hold of these on a daily basis. And then the money became a problem. So I started stealing from people I loved, from the business. Any way I could get money, getting it out of savings accounts, just to support this habit. And this is the escalation of it. So then I discovered also that there was someone I knew via a friend of a friend who could supply me with tablets that I need, equivalent to your hydrocodone, Percocet, that type of tablet. And this was obviously more expensive, but they were more powerful. So that went on and on and on, and still I was only just staying at a level, just getting slightly high, getting a bit of a buzz from it. It was keeping me, but the money was getting worse and worse and worse. I started pawning my jewellery and started, it was causing real issues at home. And the thing around opiate addiction is, unless someone knows what they're really looking for and you're not nodding out, I'm not talking about pilling heroin and stuff like that now. I'm talking about pills. If you're not doing it so much, you're just nodding out. People don't notice unless they're looking for the pinpricked eyes or, the various other signs that come with opiate addiction. They don't know. It's not like alcohol. They can smell it on you but they were noticing money issues were being noticed by my family, and they were noticing my behaviour changes, and they were noticing that I was disappearing for long periods of time, obviously on the search for pills and stuff. And then the worst thing possible happened. Someone introduced me to smoking heroin, chasing the dragon, if you like, smoking heroin. And that was a massive, obviously that was another level up. And the feeling I got from that was immense, but by this time, so was my dependence and my addiction. And that took me to the stage where I actually, it got worse and worse and worse and worse. There were interventions from the family when they didn't know what was going on, but they knew that something really bad was wrong. And then my wife noticed money had gone missing, this, that and the other. But I still wasn't honest enough, and couldn't admit to myself what a shit show my life had become. And then it ended up with me pawning my wedding ring. This is the ultimate symbol of our love, if you like, engraved wedding ring. And I remember pawning it for £52 to buy me heroin to smoke. And that's when I knew that, you know, in my heart, I knew I was, you know, use the language, fucked, basically. And I ended up in rehab shortly after that because I came clean to my family, and it was awful. Absolutely awful. It was, you know, and then I was in a rehab with people who were pinning heroin and were, you know, and if you look back at my story, you'll see it didn't all end there. You know, I came out of rehab and I discovered tramadol addiction. There's videos on my tramadol addiction on the channel because in fact, it was more so when I came to Spain, because at that time, it isn't anymore, but at that time it was on sale over the counter. So I rediscovered my addiction to opiates. It never truly gone away, if you like. And I reached when times were hard. And the reason I'm making this video today, really, is that because it's been, you know, obviously if you follow the channel, you know, I've had issues, massive issues around alcohol, although I'm sober now. And you'll see the relapse videos and whatever on that. But I haven't taken opiates for nearly 7 years now. So, you know, that's something I am proud of, and I'm so glad they're out of my life now. But not everyone's as lucky. And, you know, if you look at the last video on counterfeit pills, people are dying all over the place at the moment from fentanyl overdose. Please have a look at that video. But the reason I'm making this video today is that times are really tough at the moment. And I'm not trying to, you know, preach here or anything at all, but it's a fact that people are feeling helpless at the moment. You know, with the cost of living, the price, you know, poverty, cost of food, cost of fuel, wars, pandemics. It's a bloody scary time to live at the moment, and people want to escape reality. But just be aware of where taking those pills for the first time, if you like, where that journey will take you, because of all the things I've ever been addicted to, opiates was the thing that robbed me of everything of my life more quickly than anything else. They promised me heaven and they took me to hell. Trust me, and it was hell. I couldn't have gone any lower with it. So let that sort of be a warning to you, because it can affect anyone at any time of their life, any age, any condition, rich, poor, old, young, doesn't matter. It will grab you if you're ripe for the grabbing, and you want to change your reality, and you're unhappy and you experience that for the first time. It will grip you. Don't let it do that. Just let this be a warning to you. I hope that's been helpful. Please donate to the link below in the description to Ko-fi. It'll just help me take the channel on, get some decent equipment rather than my old iPhone here, just to take the channel a bit further on and perhaps reach and help a few more people. Thank you so much for listening. Carpe diem. Seize the day today. Keep fighting. Never give up. Much love. Bye-bye.